Cleveland Clinic, Florida provides individualized treatment plans for excellent outcomes of health problems ranging from the most common to the most complex, even in cases considered untreatable by others. Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Every life deserves world-class care.
It's the After the Show podcast, precious.
We don't care, we're about to swear on the air. It's the After the Show, so tune in if you dare. KVJ, get risque every single day. It's uncensored. We can say what we want to say.
Hello and welcome to the Wednesday KVJ After the Show podcast. A little bit more here we got for you, including some of your emails that you've sent in here so diligently to mail@kvjshow.com with your questions about the show. Nice email sent in here from Nikki. Appreciate that. She giving us a little thanks for not only wishing her little guy, Kellen, a happy birthday. She said, thank you guys for staying on the air during the pandemic and doing what you did. Appreciate that. Listen while I run. Just get some good chuckles. Sounds great. Told a little story, too, about how her mom lives in an old historic home here in West Palm, built in 1924.
Ooh.
So there have been all kinds of additions that have taken place, and when she moved in, there was a small door. The door was about 2.5 feet tall in the wall where the refrigerator went, and it was cemented shut. So you can imagine over the years the stories we came up with as to what could be behind the door. What could it have led to? That would have been kind of cool and spooky. So, yeah, we were talking yesterday about the nephew of Pablo Escobar, lives in one of his former safe houses and found $18 million in the wall. And there was there was film that was in there, a typewriter, all kinds of random stuff. And he said the smell was horrific. That was going on there. And he said he's found money in other safe houses. So you can only wonder, I mean, Pablo Escobar estimated to be worth $30 billion at the height of his wealth.
That's crazy.
Imagine just all the money that has not been. I mean, really, it's a modern day treasure hunt, really.
I'm sure there were places that he could never go back to again to retrieve whatever he hid.
Yeah, especially the end days, before he was killed in 1993. He was on the run. So.
The end days were ugly, man.
I made a promise to myself. If I find any jewels, any rubies, any gold coins, or cocaine money, I ain't telling nobody. And I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it. I don't give a shit.
You're going for it, huh?
If I find rubies in the ocean,
you wouldn't even tell us.
I would tell you guys because I trust y'all, but you really can't tell anybody.
No, you can't tell a soul.
I would break you guys off something.
I would do the same.
But
you have to tell somebody, but you can only tell like a close confidant.
It's like a sack full of coins. I'm not fucking telling the government that shit.
Sack full of coins. I mean, somebody just robbed the fountain at the mall.
No, I'm talking, Chester Copperpot, One-Eyed Willie type coins. Yeah,
Gold bullion.
Gold booyah.
Booyah.
Gold booyah?
Booyah.
Gold booyah.
Bullion?
Cordon bleu.
What?
Cordon bleu?
Cordon bleu.
Chicken cordon bleu? He finds a bag of chicken cordon bleu, and he's so happy.
And I'm not telling anybody.
Booyah. It's all mine.
It's old because somebody hit it in the wall, but he still eats it and gets the shits.
Fuck it.
Speaking of which, you thought you would love Schitt's Creek, Virginia.
Yes, I know. A lot of people have reached out and told me to watch Schitt's Creek, and I will watch it. Mm-hmm. It's just hard when you have kids, man. It's just, I don't have a lot of free time at home. I wish I had time to sit there. I did Queen of the South, and my kids basically hated me for about a month because I was watching Queen of the South all the time, and I had to hear it from Mags and Rocca. We hate Queen of the South.
It's tough to watch TV in the Sinicki's house. It's tough to pork. It's tough.
It is.
These kids got us on the run.
Mm-hmm. I don't know when I've heard a show get so much positive praise right after it ended is Schitt's Creek. I mean, one, it has been, just drenched with all those Emmy awards that it picked up. Only ones it won was in the final season. And it just, I knew people liked it, but now it seems like it's gone from a like to a love to like cult classic status.
They love the final season.
So
Yeah.
I like to listen to the people, the critics and the people that give out the awards. I don't trust them. I feel like there's a different kind of agenda. It sounds like the people also like this program. I'm seeing a lot of people talk about how good it is.
They're driving it. You fell in love with the characters. They were very likable. They seemed like a legit family, and it was, like I said, the last season was really just a heartfelt victory lap, and it was like, it just felt good. Every episode was like, I love this. And if you really love Schitt's Creek, the Rosebud Motel from the actual TV show is now being sold. It was an actual motel, but in recent years, it was just kind of like used as an Airbnb, and they had like a basketball team staying there. And they, of course, would rent it out for the filming of the show. And it's just in the middle of nowhere, and it's a small podunk little motel. But you could actually go and buy it. I imagine it's going to be one of those things. You think about landmarks now, and if this show continues... And it's still not done. I mean, they're putting it on Comedy Central, final season, dropping on Netflix here in a couple of weeks. I think the show's only going to grow. It's going to be one of those places where people are going to want to go and check out. It'll be a landmark.
I can't wait till I send Rocco off to boarding school so I can watch it.
It might be good for them.
It would be. If any kid ever needed a military boarding school, it's Rocco.
Shit, there's times I'm hoping the Kevin Ralston sends my ass to boarding school.
Yeah. Yeah, I've often wondered, like, where it is. Because you look at it, I'm like, I wonder what town they're filming this in. It is in Hockley Valley, Ontario. Interesting they did that.
Oh, it's Canada.
Well, they're Canadian.
Oh, okay.
They're all from that SCTV crew.
I think there's a lot of like productions that take it to Canada because it's like tax benefits and stuff.
Do you know that for a fact, or does that sounds like a Virginia made up fact?
I've heard it,
Okay.
but it could be wrong.
It reeked of. Nah, I don't know if that's a factoid, Kevin.
It felt good at first. Towards the end, I wasn't so sure.
But that is one of those things you could just say, "Oh, Kev, yeah, it's a lot cheaper in Canada because the
Tax benefits.
tax benefits, and the Dow Jones."
Yeah, they say if you get it, it has 8 apartment-style rooms along with a 3-bedroom dwelling, and it comes with a horse stable and 8 acres near the Nottawasaga River.
Man, they got a lot of nice horse property out there, and the acreage, man. Some nice horse property, Virginia.
I mean, if you're gonna go far, you need to go to Jupiter Farms. Go a little bit north. Don't go west.
It's just there's so many farms out there, and I'm kind of I knew the acreage had farms and stuff like that. There's a lot of them out there. Holy shit!
It's kind of all there is.
I think there's farms and a
If
couple.
you don't have a farm, your neighbors are like, "What the fuck's the matter with them?"
There's a bunch of farms. I think there's a couple Wendy's and maybe an ale house.
Got an email here from Engineer Keith about stressful jobs. He said the most stressful job that I ever had was a nuclear reactor operator.
He did that?
Yeah.
He is so smart, that cat.
He said the consequences of a mistake include, but are not limited to, causing millions of dollars in damage, immediate loss of life, hot steam suffocating and burning people if the reactor coolant leaks, intense radiation burns, interruption of flight operations causes troops on the ground to not have air support, long-term loss of life, cancer, the loss of confidence in other nations to let the U.S. park a nuclear-powered ship in their waters, changes to U.S. foreign policy, loss of support to U.S. and allied forces, relentless mocking.
Oh my gosh. That's heavy. That beats airline pilot by a long shot.
Yeah, he said it didn't matter how tired I was incapable of falling asleep while doing that job. It puts every other job in perspective since then.
Damn.
You know the one that would freak me out because you think it would be easy, but I could see how it could bite you in the ass. Are the drawbridge people where you can see everything? Like there's no way I'm gonna miss a boat. Don't you get the sleepy time in you because, oh shit, boat crashing in bridges. I've heard of those stories. No? Hello? This thing on?
Nuclear reactor, bridge operator. Oh.
I'm a bunch of bullshit today. I'm off my game. That mile really took a lot of energy out.
You've got a good excuse.
Do they even have real people in those bridges? Because my wife and I, we walk over the Flagler Bridge. They're going to Palm Beach, and then the bridge that's south of that, I'm not sure what the name is for that one. But I've often looked up there. I'm like, I don't really see anybody, and I
do.
wonder.
Because he's sleeping.
They do have a person because we're always at Cato's Bridge in Jupiter, and the kids jump off of Cato's Bridge, and every once in a while he'll come out and yell at the kids. So,
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because you're not supposed to jump off the bridge, but these kids don't give a.
Bro, it's fucking Cato's Bridge, bro. Come on, it's Cato's. Cato sounds like the cool bridge, man.
Oh, it's so fun.
It's extreme.
Yeah, and then the thing I don't get is, because you walk across and the bridge starts to come up, and they put a gate, and there was a woman that was like walking, and the bridge continued to come up, and I'm like, are they going to stop for her? And I'm like, there must not be an operator in there.
There's got to be an operator in there.
I think there is.
They cannot do that.
The ones that I've seen usually does have an operator in there. Now, the person might seriously have been laying down on the ground and sleeping. And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was just wondering if maybe they, because you radio it in, and maybe somebody from somewhere else hits it. And they've got it if you need it, but there's not maybe somebody in there.
Not.
I didn't know. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Because, now you would figure with a camera and a control button, if you want to cut down, trust me, we're in an industry where we're trying to figure out how we can cut down on people. And so is a lot of people. Yeah, going, do we necessarily have to have one person that just sits there all day long?
Everybody's downsizing.
Right. We could easily put a couple cameras on the bridge, which are probably there anyway, and somebody would call in, and remotely we could fire that from anywhere.
Kevin's pissing off our drawbridge audience so bad. Like, dude, come on, man. Robot agenda.
Yeah, all 5 of those guys in town are pissed.
I know.
And all of them clearly listen to us.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that'd be great if we could get them to listen because they ain't got shit to do besides sit there.
What do you think a drawbridge operator makes?
We should go ask them. Whenever you're going over a bridge that goes up and down and you see a car like parked right before you get to the bridge, that's his car.
So just kind of park there.
Sit by his car.
Randomly walk up.
Wait for him to come to his car and be like, hey, bro, you got a minute?
Hey, bridge operator. Hey, how much do you make? I've never met you before. Okay. Yeah, that should go great.
If you wait by his car, you don't have to yell.
What do you mean by
He has to come to his car at the end of his shift.
Oh, so just a stakeout.
You stake him out, and then when he's finished his workday, then you ask him all your questions.
Kevin, is Virginia drinking again at work?
Yeah. Let's hope.
White Claw.
If you had White Claw, I'd drink the shit out of them right now. I could use a pick me up.
Let me see. Got a question here from Sean. He said, Kevin, I don't know if you guys spoke about it, but how's Officer Smith from your hometown, Logan, Ohio, holding up? He's the guy that was in the viral video last week, the cop that had wound up trying to remove and then tasing the woman that wouldn't put on a mask or leave the 8th grade football game at my old high school.
Schmidty or Schmidty?
Schmidty is what my mama called him. And if you'd missed that discussion, he wound up he got, into the blender of the whole argument about masks and all that stuff. And it was a school policy. The governor's been really strict in the state of Ohio, and so they wanted to get sports back. And so they were posting up and making announcements on the stadium PA that you need to have a mask on, even though you're there in the stands and it's outdoors and all that kind of stuff. They're going extra careful just because they are so happy to have football. They don't want to do anything to risk it. There was a woman that was there who said she had asthma, not putting on a mask, and so the school had asked the officer there to remove her, and she was a little bit belligerent about going and didn't go quietly. And in the course of it, he tased her, and it became a big old fight. And my mom knows him. My dad's his attorney. And he had been going through a lot. Adult daughter that has disabilities, and financially he's not doing great. And then my mom was just telling me you ever have that person that they're just sweet, they're just good souls.
Denny's.
Yeah. Imagine if that would happen with Denny's, and Denny's is doing something that's his job, and then the world is like, he's an a-hole and this and that, and you're like, you don't even know this guy.
I'd go down with him. I would fucking go down with him.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of, what it was when I was talking to my mom, and she was just heartbroken about, the things people were saying about Schmidty. And so anyway, to let you know, I did, my mom had told me that they had a rally for him in town. And I said, so Logan's got his back. She said, absolutely.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, good.
That's all you need.
Yeah, there were people who were protesting in town, and because they know him. They know he's just a good-hearted guy, and they're like, no. And that really is, I think, what's needed. That's a great lesson, because any of us could become a national target. I mean, look at Schmidty's not thinking he's going to be a national recognizable face.
You're right.
And when you're in a small town, it's 6,000 people in southeastern Ohio. Watch Schitt's Creek. It looks a lot like that, honestly. That's one reason why I probably really loved it. It's just a small little podunk town. But they're good-hearted people for the most part. And when they recognize that, they put a bubble around him. And they say, you're not going to mess with this guy. And so they've been very supportive of him and helping him out. And so
I'll tell you who's pumped about the debates going on. Schmidty. Everyone's talking about something else now.
Yeah.
He's like, please, bring on the debates.
America, move on.
Move on to a different national story.
What about the chick that he tased? What's her story?
I don't know. I know she's from Marietta, which was a town about an hour away. It's all right on the river on the
So
Ohio-West
she's not
Virginia border.
local Logan.
No, she was a visiting fan. And like I said, in Logan, we always tase those people.
Okay, that helps because, then it's us against them, and Logan can rally around Schmidty, and she's not from here anyway.
Anytime you get beat up, if you have a nucleus, a team that's going to support you, you're going to be fine. You will be okay.
Yeah.
Just stay with them, stay positive, and let the bullshit kind of just die down, and it will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was very encouraged by that. So it sounds like things are going to work out okay for him.
And your mom said he's doing good.
She didn't speak about him, but she had just said that, the town was supporting him. And so that was there. And so I think everybody's rallying to him. Like I said, he's still going through a lot, and that's just it. I think with a lot of us, people will run to our rescue and they'll maybe bring us a meal and then they disappear. And you're like, I still am going through it, so you got to keep remembering that.
I like when something like this happens, though, and then people rally around a guy like Schmidty and then start a GoFundMe for him, and then he comes out of this way smelling rosier than he could have ever imagined, and it turns out to be a blessing. Mm-hmm. That's what a guy like Schmidty deserves.
Yeah. So it's nice. So I was very encouraged to hear that the town is definitely defending him. And it's a town, too, it's a town that doesn't favor wearing masks. By the way, that's Trump territory, and they're very conservative, and they have a beef with the governor and how stringent the shutdowns have been. And it's a small town. They're not getting rocked by COVID.
Oh,
gotcha.
Yeah. If you're not getting rocked by COVID and it's not on your radar, which is...
Yeah.
It's happening.
I'm not sure if anybody in the county has got it. So
parts in the country, they didn't have the COVID thing like everyone else did. And they may not watch some of those headline news.
Their economy is very fragile. So, you can't do anything to throw business off. They just can't make up for it. It's not it's in that financial area called Appalachia, that it's known for economically being depressed and not very vibrant. And so, they've got to protect their jobs. They can't afford to live through lockdowns.
It's just interesting to hear different perspectives because you really do get the media perspective from everything.
Well, and that's why we got to keep talking to people, because just because you feel one way about it here, and masks may be great here, but they may not be great there, and you got to listen. Everybody's got a different story to tell. And when we're sitting here yelling at everybody, trying to convince people that
this, Kevin. Nope.
We are right in what we say, then you're not listening to somebody else and getting that full perspective.
What is listening?
That's exactly it. People don't know. They need to listen. What people have to say and try to understand.
I do want to go to Logan badly.
You've been talking about it for a minute.
Well, we'll get there. Hopefully, maybe in the next year, maybe we can get up there and go check it out.
Because I know the Queen likes to travel with the family, but if the Queen,
but she don't like to travel to Logan.
I get it, but I know it's a family thing. But if she's ever cool and gives me the green light to go to Logan with y'all, I will in a heartbeat do it.
I've been working on it. They have a lot of nice cabins. The thing, if you go to Logan, you go to Hocking Hills. Look up Hocking Hills, and it's beautiful. The caves that they have there, people come from all over. It's very peaceful. It's out in the country.
Oh, you know who loves caves? Bigfoot.
Oh, that's just my game. I'll bring out a little fucking guitar. I'll get the pizza crossing. I'll just play guitar in a cave.
If you like a bonfire and sitting out having some drinks and singing, that's Logan's your town.
That's all I want in life.
There you go. You just want Logan. You would actually work out well in Logan.
You probably should go now.
When I went to that small town my freshman year in college, it was very country, and I did very well there. It was small town.
Yeah.
I don't like the big city.
That's my
I don't
town,
like that bullshit.
Right. Then I think you do great there.
You're a country mouse.
We were
trying to fit in a city mouse mold.
I know. We were rednecks, but we didn't know we were rednecks growing up in Palm Beach Gardens.
You were country in the city.
We were.
And the other thing, too, that you'd love about Logan, we had Audrey sent an email here about serial killers. Not that we thought we had that serial killer there for a while. When I was a kid growing up, we'd had those dismemberment deaths that had been there. And
That'll rock a town.
Oh my God!
and they didn't solve it the entire time I was there. It wasn't until I left.
Come on, Schmitty.
That's
You gotta get your act together.
I'm on your side. What the
Schmitty's
fuck,
too busy
man?
tasing people for not wearing masks.
Dude.
You can't get the.
We gotta figure out who's decapitating our youth.
Well, the thing that was amazing about it was it was these two high school students, and they were dismembered,
Oh my God.
buried in the form of a pentagram, and
That's
so
not good.
they're thinking, okay, this is a serial killer trying to make a mark. Their heads were floating down the river, that kind of stuff. And then they did a special on it that I saw later, and somebody actually called up and they said, yeah, I just saw these two chuckleheads walking into this known drug house, and they are covered head to toe in blood. We thought you guys might want to look at it. And somebody wrote it down on a note, and they never got back to it.
I mean, it sounds like a movie.
It was on a sticky note,
was
and
on
no
a
one
sticky
ever
note.
called
It
them back.
sounds
No
like
one-
a movie.
No one at Logan PD thought to investigate, and it went forever. On that note, somebody called in and basically pinpointed and gave them the address, and it was the two killers.
It's so weird.
And they were on drugs, right?
Yes, they were on drugs. That's what it was. Two guys that were in this drug house. They were whacked out of their minds, and they went out and found this, couple that was out, whining and dining, and who knows what they were doing in the woods, and
So,
killed them.
I obviously watch a lot of murder specials, and especially murders that took place in the 60s, 70s, early 80s.
This is early 80s,
In
yeah.
a small town.
Yeah.
They're not equipped to handle it. I mean, the Adam Walsh case just here in
But
Hollywood,
you can't
Florida.
take a damn note.
We're not
mean,
equipped to make a phone call.
I understand they're not Scotland Yard, but I mean, still.
But what?
I mean, if somebody calls in, it's like, I see these two guys covered head to toe in blood. The day?
Schmitty, you got to get your house in order.
You would be shocked how many of these stories are like that,
Unbelievable.
where there was a piece of paper and somebody just didn't look at it, and then 20 years later, in a cold case file, this new cop will come along and go, all right, I saw a guy covered
what
in
it
blood
was. They couldn't
walking
believe
in.
it.
Yeah, this happens all
They're
the
like,
time.
hey, did you guys ever investigate this note? No, we
No.
kind of got busy with.
Never even took a second look at it.
We knew those boys. We knew they were good kids. We didn't think anything of it.
I don't think they even questioned them.
No.
They never even followed
The
up.
note is two guys covered head to toe in blood walked into a drug house in the middle of a murder investigation, and nobody even went to see.
You lived in the town of making a murderer. I mean, that's what it sounds like.
I was like, oh, Logan. Somebody said they're doing a schmitty job there.
Oh. Get your Schmidt together.
Oh, man. That's just good.
Unbelievable. Yeah, that really is Logan in a nutshell for
Get
you.
your Schmidt.
Get your
He don't take no Schmidt from nobody.
He's probably too young to have been there on the force when this happened.
Yeah, it wasn't. Schmitty wasn't around.
Schmitty
no.
wasn't even there, but it certainly
I
is
put out
fun.
Donnie Shaw, the guy that was trying to chase me for all my vandalism.
Where's Officer Shaw?
I don't know where Donnie Shaw is these days.
I mean, could you have any more of a horrific story? You're talking about teenagers just
Yeah.
kind of on their own. They're decapitated, then their body is
They were
spread out like a
dismembered. It was
pentagram.
terrifying. It was terrifying. I mean, it was right around Halloween too. So I mean, the weather was changing. It was like cool. It was fall. There were all of these decorations out, and then every day a new story would come out. They're like, "Hey, we found a couple heads floating down the river."
Oh my gosh.
And then they were, and I remember I wound up talking to the guys who was on the west end of town, these kids, and I was talking to them later on, years later, and they had been riding their bikes and they were ramping their bicycles in this area, and they didn't realize that they were ramping over their legs.
Oh,
and then
my
the leg flew out of the
gosh.
ground. They're like, "That's a leg," and then they, pedaled their little asses home and told mom and dad. It's crazy.
That really is.
That's like that's what you'd see in a movie, right?
Totally.
The kids are ramping over and it's a leg.
That's a lag.
Out of all of the murder stories that I've heard, I would put that in your top 5 of just pure horror and evil. I mean, the only thing I can think of is like the Richard Speck where he killed 8 nurses in one night.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Well,
that's pretty horrific.
It was a
right
big
there.
deal because the stepdad is the one who was on trial. He was a butcher. And they're like, nobody else would know how to dismember a body other than this guy. And so they were going through his, obviously his butcher shop, and then like going, Oh, then they're thinking he was a serial killer. How many other people have been missing in this area? And they thought that.
Gosh.
Yeah, so that was my whole childhood.
And his life got ruined.
Why did they think he did it?
He was a butcher.
But I mean, other than he was a butcher, so what? What? Someone had a chance?
He was the stepfather of the girl, and I think there was even calling into question that maybe he had actually fallen for her, and so then they it was twisted.
Now, was that true, or is that part of the narrative to paint him?
Well, that was just it. These are all the rumors and things that are going around, so people are filling in the blanks because when you find dismembered body parts all over your town, you kind of want some answers. And as years are going on and a Post-it note sitting on the desk with the answer, and you can't figure out what's going on. Yeah, everyone in the small town, if you ever lived in a small town, you know people talk anyway. So
a lot.
Here we are with no answers, and so everyone else is filling in the blanks of what happened.
Yeah, anytime a murder rocks your town, we were up in Pennsylvania and Ann stayed back. This was in the 80s, and somebody murdered somebody in Lake Park. Oh, it was a woman. And the guy did terrible things. He got big bitter, and Ann was down here alone while all that was going on. Mom didn't handle that real well in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. They never caught him, I don't think, either.
That happens.
That happens a lot, where that murderer just is never caught.
That's the scariest ones. Those are the ones that I think go town to town.
I can think of Jupiter. There's a case, they never caught the guy. There's one in Lake Park, never caught the guy. There's one in North Park. There's so many cases like that.
Yeah, Audrey said on your radar, I know we talked about before, the Samuel Little. She said, yeah, I saw him on 60 Minutes. That's a fascinating story if you haven't seen that episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Samuel Little, is he the black guy that murdered all of those prostitutes?
Yeah, I think just recently. Yeah,
Oh
it was
my
in the
gosh.
news in the last 6 months or something like
I
that.
watched that special twice.
Really? Okay.
Jay-Bird, it is crazy. He's got a photographic memory, and he killed, like, so far, they're up to like 90-something women.
Yeah.
He remembers what they were wearing, what they talked about. He's an artist. He draws them. He does art. And in the cop's office where they're trying to close all the cold cases, the cops got all the drawings hanging up on the wall, like really good artwork of all these different prostitutes that he killed.
So what really
Crazy.
What really-
he remembers every detail.
What chaps my ass when you see these murderers, you know, in the confession and the cops talking to them, when they say they don't remember, I want to fucking crawl through the screen and punch them because you know they're lying.
Yeah.
Of course they remember what they did to their victim. Like you're saying, even if they don't have a photographic memory, that's what gets them off, remembering all that stuff. When they're in jail, they're thinking about the victim. Now, I'm not talking about someone that kills somebody in a moment of passion, but if you're talking about a guy that's going around
It gets his jollies.
getting his jollies off, there's no way that cat is forgetting details. He's just not.
Yeah, but they have him on there.
I know.
It's the old dance.
That was a great piece. You should watch that.
The BTK, when he's in the courtroom, when he's talking about the details, you can almost see him getting off on it. He
Enjoying it.
loves
Yeah.
it. Knows every detail about
that guy had a wife
it. And
and a family.
The documentary I saw on the BTK's child, she was, I think, 21 when she found out her dad was a serial killer.
That'd be
Could you
unbelievable.
imagine
No.
your dad being a Family Guy Drew? You
Yeah.
think he's religious, he's a great guy,
Right.
and then he's got this, sick past.
Well,
I
then
think he was like a security guy or
was.
something. Normal looking, he looked like a mall cop.
He was
like
like
a
an
white
HOA guy. He'd
like an
go
HOA
around.
guy. He just looked like any normal HOA mall cop looking Paul Blart white guy.
And they said he was a prick as one of those HOA people. He was
Yeah.
an HOA, one of those where if your grass was too long, this is the BTK we're talking about, he would be a prick about it. And almost to the point where like, dude, it's just a millimeter of grass here.
But it's crazy now. Like when you read these stories about how these people that just blended in while they were murdering,
Yeah.
you start to think now and you look at people and you're like, could they be a murderer?
People on social media specifically was going after the BTK's wife. And a lot of times when you see a murderer, people go after the wife. They think there's no way the wife didn't know about that. I disagree. I think there's a way you could be a serial killer as a family man and get away with it.
Totally.
And not
That's
even
your
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But
your cover. No
people-
one's going to suspect the guy who's a mall cop.
Do you think Panda could get away with murder and you not know? If he really tried.
I don't know. I'm pretty nosy.
See?
Yeah.
The BTK's wife may have been kind of absent.
Yeah, different relationships are different. Some of them, you have a lot of room to run, and others, they're all your ass, and you couldn't do anything.
Well, I'm just like, I'm always looking at stuff.
Well, I just think about my childhood. My dad played a lot of tennis tournaments. He was big into tennis tournaments. How do I know? One weekend he goes to a tournament in Fort Lauderdale, and he's murdering. I'm not saying that, Dad. That's not what I mean, if you're listening. I'm just saying that's how it would be easy. Oh, Dad, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that.
That's some of those Dateline stories that I watch. A lot of these guys that traveled around doing whatever. Like there was a guy recently that traveled around doing Civil War reenactments. And every time he would go to one of these Civil War reenactments, a girl in the area would go missing.
Oh,
but
wow.
he killed like 6 or 7 girls before they finally figured out that it was him.
And then somebody did the work.
Somebody did the work.
What's going on with this Civil War reenactment here?
we talked to this cop in this area, and the details are
Everything
kind of the
starts to tie
same.
together. That's got to be something that would be so fascinating if that's what you did, and you start to see links, and you're like, oh my gosh, look at this.
When you put it together, you're like, oh my
this
gosh.
can't be a coincidence. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I heard this is because you got to be careful when you're talking about rumors and murders and all that stuff. But I was talking to somebody, and again, this is hearsay, but they was talking to another person, try to follow along, who has, they say, information about an unsolved case here in South Florida. But the guy's rich and his dad has helped him out, kind of keep it out of the...
Really?
But not many people know about it. A close friend told my close friend, and now I know about it. But I want to investigate this because it's something that I'm very into.
Yeah,
but you don't want to. You don't want to
Mm-hmm.
do anything to get. You can't get sued. You can't blame people for shit that it's not. If you investigate and it's not true, you're fucked.
I wonder if it's easier to get away with murder if you have means and resources, or if it's harder. Now, follow me here, because let's say, for instance, I have a lot of money and things like that, but I also am going to be higher profile, and people are always going to be watching to see what I'm doing rather than a guy that's flying under the radar. So do the means that you would have, let's say maybe a boat, say a this, say a that, whatever, would that cancel itself out because even though I now have tools, means, things like that?
You're flashy.
Yes.
People looking at you.
People always want to know where I am and what I'm doing because I am a notable figure.
Yeah, the grifter might be able to get away with it easier.
Well, I think
Because nobody looks at him twice.
Well, you look at him,
don't
but
pay
then he's
attention.
gone.
Look at Henry Lucas. Look at Otis O'Toole or Otis Toole. They were drifters. They were always on the go within every state. They never stayed there, and it took them forever to figure out how many murders they did. That's a fascinating documentary on Netflix.
Oh, it's on Netflix?
Henry Lee Lucas documentary.
Okay.
There's Adam Walsh ties
Do
to
they
it.
add a third name to these people? Or they always?
They always have a middle name.
It feels like they do.
Always. They have to give you one. If I started murdering, would it be Kevin Lee Ralston?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're Kevin Lee Ralston.
Yeah, it wouldn't be just Kevin Ralston.
Yeah, but if you're into the murder stuff and you
Yeah.
want to know about some South Florida ties, that's a very good documentary to watch.
I got a serial killer's middle name. Like,
So do
Yeah,
I.
you do.
Henry Lee
Jason Lee
Lucas, Kevin Lee-
Pennington murdered 9 Virginias.
I don't think I can be murdered 9 times.
No, you can't.
9 lives. You never know, Cat. All right. Well, there you go. Your murder podcast.
Oh man, I could go on and
I
on.
know you could.
Someone's all ginned
I
up.
might have
know.
to mix in some murder tonight for weird and whatever. Oh, there's definitely gonna be murder.
He's not
talk.
done yet. He is not done. All right, anything else you want up on the After the Show podcast, send us that email, mail@kvjshow.com, mail at kvjshow.com. Don't forget, to jump on that $200 in free groceries with the KVJ Workday Grocery Giveaway. Go sign up at WRMF.com, then listen 9 a.m., 2 p.m., and 5 p.m. Hear your name, call back in 10 minutes, and you pick up the groceries courtesy of Scott Smith Injury Law. You guys have a great Wednesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Cleveland Clinic, Florida provides individualized treatment plans for excellent outcomes of health problems ranging from the most common to the most complex, even in cases considered untreatable by others. Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Every life deserves world-class care.